What's up, guys? JP back at you once again, bring you guys day number 16 in my 10th annual 31 Days of Horror, a series in which we watch and review 31 horror films in 31 days, all during the month of October, leading right up to Halloween, and continuing along with our featured companies. The fourth company is going to be Scream Factory. Yeah, this was a company that had to be part of this because it's probably the company that most people know. It's the company that's probably the most successful out of all the ones that we're talking about. It's released so many titles from the beginning with Halloween 1 and 2 to some of their most recent releases, Halloween 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, you know. So yeah, they've been around literally for as long as this channel's been around, pretty much. And yeah, they used to put out like 1 or 2 titles a month. Now it's, I don't even know what they're putting out now. I don't buy as much as I used to. I started out collecting every single release for the first like 100 and some. Every one that came out I bought. And then I think they started doing the IFC Midnights, and I tried to keep up with those. And then I was like, okay, I won't do the contemporary ones. I'll just do the regular, you know, classic horror releases. But then it became like difficult because they were still releasing like 5 to 7, 8, 9 releases a month, and it was just like, wow, it's like, and the prices went up. It was like $30 a title instead of, when they first came out, $20 for a collector's edition. It was like $15 or under for a standard edition, and that's long gone. But yeah, I mean, they've released some classic titles there. They typically stick to American-based horror, but they have released some Hammer stuff as well, and you know, even some Italian stuff, but mainly American classic 80s, 90s films are sort of their mainstay, and 70s as well. Some 2000s as well. But yeah, Scream Factory, everybody knows them. They're one of the best companies out there. They do a lot of good features, and as well as they release 2 of like the best box sets ever, in the Halloween box set as well as the Friday the 13th box set, praying for a Nightmare on Elm Street box set. If one franchise deserves a box set, it has to be Elm Street, because the one that we got, the one Blu-ray set we got, was kind of a standard studio release and really not that good, you know what I mean? So anyway, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into day number 16 here with our first Scream Factory title, and I decided to go with one I haven't seen before. We've been hitting a lot of like 50s, 60s, you know, earlier stuff. We haven't really done a lot of later stuff, so I decided to go to the 2000s, which is this the first of the 2000s? I think our latest film was in the 90s so far. So yeah, we have Cherry Falls. Now this is a movie that I've never actually seen, but I've heard of a lot. It is a sort of slasher film, sort of post-Scream era slasher film, but it's also a TV movie, even though it was not intended to be. This was supposed to be a theatrical release, and the MPAA like kept cutting the hell out of this film. So eventually they sold it to the USA Network, and it debuted on the USA Network. And it was one of the most expensive TV films of all time. Apparently it had a record of some sort. I'm sure that record's been broken now. But yeah, weird history. I wanted to check out some of the interviews on there to actually, like, you know, see what if they talk about that, but it doesn't seem like there's much special feed. Yeah, I guess I didn't see that. There's vintage interviews, but there's actually some new interviews too. So okay, that'd be interesting to see if they actually talk about that. Unfortunately, this version here, I believe, is not the fully uncut version. I think this is like it's not the TV cut because there's nudity in it, I think, but it's not I don't think it's the fully like pre-MPAA version either. So, yeah, that's not the best thing. I think a lot of people wanted to get this uncut. I guess Scream Factory couldn't do that. And that is a criticism I'll give of Scream Factory. Like, sometimes I'm not sure if I believe they couldn't or they just didn't want to put the effort in. Because it seems like companies like Vinegar Syndrome, like, almost always get, like, the uncut version or, like, the different cut version. But it's like Scream Factory seems like a lot of times they can't. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, so this film, the plot follows a girl played by Brittany Murphy. Rest in peace. She was a pretty good actress. I always think of her as Luann, though, from King of the Hill. And she lives in a place called Cherry Falls. One night, there's these two kids, like, making out and about to have sex, and they get slashed up. And then another person gets killed. And then they realize that all of the people that have been killed are, in fact, virgins. And it seems like there is a killer that is specifically targeting virgins in this town. Brittany Murphy is a virgin, her character. Her dad is also, like, the sheriff of the town. Seems like a smaller town. And I'll say this. The killer in this film, I thought was pretty obvious. I did think at one point it could be someone else, but I'm like, that's just, it's too obvious for it to be that person. So, I'm going to say it's not that person, it's this other person, and which was also obvious, but not as obvious as the first person. And I was correct. So pretty obvious killer in this one. Which doesn't really affect my enjoyment, honestly. Like, I know that, like, whodunits and slashers are supposed to have sort of that, like, mystery element, but I just don't care. I never have. I really don't care if I can pick the killer or I can't. That's not why I like slashers. But the kids in this town, they decide to throw a pop your cherry party, which is basically like, hey, if they're killing virgins, let's all become not virgins. And I feel like that's like one of the only times you would lie and say that you're a virgin if you weren't. You know what I mean? Like, normally at that age you'll be like, you would lie that you're not a virgin, you know. But like, I could see people who aren't virgins lying that they are so they could go to this party. But it's ridiculous and it's crazy. But I thought that was a cool little thing for the movie. Like, I could totally see, like, my high school doing that, you know. Killer killing virgins, alright, everybody let's have sex. Although, there probably wasn't that many virgins left in my high school. But there is also the father, played by Michael Biehn, and, man, the father-daughter relationship in this movie is, like, super weird. There's a point where he's asking her if she's a virgin, and it's, like, super cringy and awkward. And then, like, when you find out, like, sort of, so, like, the father's tied into the backstory of the killer, and you find out why, and you're like, okay, that's pretty awful, and weird. But, yeah, this movie is actually, like, really solid. I completely enjoyed it. I would love to see the other cut of it. I don't know if it floats around online or if it's never been released or it's lost or gone or burned or whatever, but I hope that it's available at some point. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead... Oh, Jay Moore's also in this film. He's a comedian, so I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10, and really solid watch. Finally glad to get to Cherry Falls because I've been wanting to check that out forever, and this is like sort of one of my favorite eras of films. Not even post-Scream era, but like Scream era. And I know a lot of people don't like them. And there are a lot of bad ones, but I just have a soft spot for that era. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time with another one. Peace out.